Take a look at this headline. It's in the Wall Street Journal. Quote, Trump can end the World Bank's climate hypocrisy. It says Western nations insist that Africa leapfrog from no energy to trendy renewables, bypassing fossil fuel. Bjorn Lomberg wrote that, and he joins me now. Why is that such a big problem, and what do you want Trump to do about it?
Hi, Varney. Well, first of all, the rich countries and the World Bank is essentially telling the poor part of the world that, we got rich on fossil fuels. We've used them for 100 years. We get 3/4 or more of our energy still from fossil fuels. But you guys, you just got to make do with solar and wind. It feels really good, but it actually costs a lot more. And of course, you can't industrialize in that. So it's really hypocritical that the World Bank is telling, no, we're not going to lend you at all for fossil fuels and only a tiny bit or maybe a little bit of an opening for nuclear. That's just not how you get rich. And of course, what we really want is the poor world to be lifted out of poverty.
Yeah, I saw a statistic that Sub-Saharan Africa is home to 1.2 billion people, and they consume less electricity annually than the 23 million people in Florida. That's an extraordinary situation. And we're asking them to just jump over fossil fuels and go straight to renewables. That's out of the question. Yes. They can't do it.
It absolutely is. And again, remember, the average person in sub-Saharan Africa without South Africa has about half a kilowatt hour per person per day, both directly and from industries. That's terribly little. The average for the rich countries is about 20 kilowatt hours. For the US, it's almost 30 kilowatt hours. You just simply have 60 times more power. Of course you're richer. And telling those people, no, our real big concern is climate. So I'm sorry, you can't have more cheap energy. You can't have more reliable energy. It's just simply outstandingly hypocritical. And that's, of course, what Trump and what Scott Bennett could really help, saying, let's put our foot down and say, no, we're the major stakeholder in the World Bank. We're not going to allow that.
Denmark's reconsidering a decade-long ban, a 4-decade-long ban on nuclear power. This follows that massive power outage last month in Spain and Portugal and part of France that was partly due, I understand, to the failure of renewables. Could we have the same kind of blackouts in America?
We can have those blackouts everywhere. Remember, if you just have solar and wind, you have no spinning reserve. You have no insurance that you can stay stable with your 60 hertz power cycle. And that really hurts you. In the long run, that will probably lead to power outages every once in a while. So you need to go back. So nuclear power is one of those opportunities. Of course, our concern still is that nuclear power is pretty expensive. And so what we really have to remember is, why is it that we're so obsessed with having solar and wind, which literally only works when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, when we need backup for all of that, either through nuclear or other power sources, which basically means that we're making power much more expensive. There is no way to do that smartly. And Germany learned that the hard way.
The voice of reason on climate, the one and only Bjorn Lomberg. Thanks for being with us, Bjorn. Always appreciate it. Thank you.